Mind blown already.
Mind blown.
What's up, Nick?
What's so funny is that every time you ask me that, it's like, what's up, Nick? I always want to say good.
What's up, Nick?
Good. Doing good.
How you doing? How you
What
doing?
is up? This is a check-in episode. Episode
Yes.
31. Can you believe that?
It's kind of amazing. We're about a month and a half in
Yep.
from the start of this, and we've already gotten feedback from a number of people who've been listening to the podcast
Yeah.
and who have said things like, oh, I really love the episode where you guys talked about X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
X being the relationship to money. That was one of them that was really, really popular.
Yeah, and it's really, really cool because I'll, on Instagram, on the Mastery of Money, or our personal ones, we'll have people tag the specific episode to take screenshots of the podcast and say that it made a difference, and so I'll actually go in and follow up with them and see, tell me more.
Yeah.
And one of the most consistent listeners, I would say, is my dad. So
Is
shout
that
out to
right?
my dad. Yeah.
Shout out to Howard Durr.
Howard
That's
Durr.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah, he always texts me. He's like, "You and Adam are doing awesome stuff," and he's a big fan of emojis. So like, I just get overwhelmed with love.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Howard, thank you
Yeah,
for being a faithful listener and viewer.
yeah,
It's so cool. One of the things for me that's really come up in doing this work is I'm paying infinitely more attention to how I'm talking to my kids about money, or how I interact with other people, what people are telling me about what they value or what's valuable to them.
Yep.
And one of the things that came out of the Build a Bigger Life retreat in Sedona a few weeks ago was one of our attendees. She was the one who actually said, "Oh, the relationship to money was really profound. I've been thinking a lot about that." She actually struggled with value, with her value, her worth,
Yep.
in terms of what she was charging clients. And so I think, if nothing else, what I love about the show and our discussions is it gets people thinking of their own situation,
yeah,
whether we're talking about them or us. So as you listen to our stories and you're thinking about either your situation or our situation, put yourself in it. Like, decide what is resonating for you in your own life, and then think about that and talk to your family about it.
yeah.
Same time.
It's the whole conversation around the importance of sharing. Like when we share ourselves, when you share yourself, I find myself in you, and I would say vice versa. And as people are sharing what they're listening, or what's opening up for them, and as I'm sharing other people's stories, it's like, oh yeah, I either am doing that, or I'm not doing that, or I should be doing that,
Right.
or I need to recommit to that. And so there's also for me, having, being a month and a half in, it's like there's a level of accountability. You said you're conscious to how you're talking to your kids. For me, I'm definitely conscious to, the clients that I'm having conversations with, and also just people that I meet and talk about the podcast.
For
There's
sure.
a level of, hey, we're having conversations about this. I don't necessarily need to be the number one expert in it, but I need to be living what it is that I'm sharing.
Yes.
So there's a level of accountability that's very much appreciated.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And it's cool to watch you do what you do, which if you could see on the other side of this camera, my office is kind of littered with things right now because we clear out space and all that, but your level of minimalism, for me, I don't necessarily think that I aspire to, but it's very inspiring to me. So I have cleared things out. I'm constantly trying to keep my space clutter free.
Yeah.
And I think that has added to the level of life that I live because I'm not cluttered up with all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Which tends to, with stuff comes mental energy, and it comes expense and all of those things. So anyway, I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you as well. I mean, what I can really see being here in Des Moines is that there's a different lifestyle and different lives that people live, and then also being with you all the time is like I get to see the future me through you. I definitely aspire to be where you're at in terms of financially, business-wise, in your relationships, as a father, etc. So it's very humbling for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm living vicariously through your Tinder profile, so that's awesome too. You gotta check this guy out on Tinder when you get to Des Moines.
But we got some good photos. Adam actually took the photos of me.
That's right. That's right. perfectly clean. I assure you. So one last thing I want to mention in this check-in is a conversation that I had yesterday with my wife, who she said, I need to have a conversation with you. And it was very serious sounding. And she sat down and she said, I want to have this procedure done with a dermatologist. And it's all, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me sharing this, it's all well and good. It's just kind of a natural thing that you do, but it's relatively expensive, I guess you could say. And I was like, of course, if you want to do it, of course.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I just want to be at a place where we know how much we would each spend before we talk to each other about that.
Yeah.
And very candidly, Nick, I have often spent more on things or spent money on things without having a conversation with her first, that I think had I had a conversation with her, she probably would have talked me out of.
Interesting.
And in the end, it would have made a positive difference because, and specifically I'm talking about courses.
Yeah.
You know, I buy a lot of things online where it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll spend $500 on that thing.
Yep.
And then I get 1 or 2 courses in and I don't leverage it.
Yeah.
And so my suggestion to you would be to have some accountability buddy or somebody that you're talking about purchases with. If you were a single person, I don't know, who would that be for you?
You.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Yeah, there's definitely mentors, coaches, like, you know, depending, would be my parents and certain, you know, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But also just like the close friends that I have, it's like, especially if I'm considering buying something,
Yeah.
you know, the first place that I go to, and I don't want to take away from your conversation, is if someone has purchased it before. So I kind of like do my research to see, hey, was it worth it? What did you like about it? What did you like about it? So the people I would talk about, I don't think there's a specific person that I would look at. More so is the person, or has the person purchased whatever it is I'm looking to purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I do talk to someone else because I'm also just like very conservative and like to do my due diligence and very calculated.
Yeah.
So I rarely make compulsive or impulsive purchases. Yeah. So I'm always talking to someone about, I always need to look at reviews. Even moving to Des Moines, I was like on Reddit, I was on Google forums, I was like talking to people in Des Moines. I was doing my research.
That's so funny because reading reviews would be a foreign thing for me. It's like, oh, if I feel like I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
But my wife will study the reviews copiously.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm very similar to your wife in that sense.
So like your bed that you ordered,
Yep.
probably studied reviews.
That was actually through Jimmy.
Oh, was it?
So Jimmy has the same type of bed.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, this one's good. And I've also slept on his bed a number of times, you know, just being tired.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, this bed's comfortable.
Shout out to Jimmy, the
Shout out to
SEO expert in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Should we give his website just as a shout out?
Yeah, we totally can. I mean, I just want to make sure it actually is the accurate one. Let's see.
I think it's just Jimmy Hewitt.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Huh. Yep. So Jimmy, JIMMYHUH, JimmyHuh.com.
JimmyHuh.com.
Yep.
He's the man. So check that stuff out. You've slept on his bed. That's why you bought that bed.
Exactly.
The whole thing comes full circle. Anything else you want to shout out about for the check-in?
In terms of check-in, I think you know, we're about a month and a half in, right? So if you look at, you know, when we started in February to where we are now here in March, really looking at, you know, I really invite you to share with people what you're discovering and what you're getting. Adam talked about the communication between him and his wife, and you know how actually having the conversation, I would say, not only opens up conversations around purchases and spending, but also in your relationship, you know, how you relate to her, how she relates to you.
Yep.
And whether you're single, you know, in a relationship, whatever the case is, I think it's powerful to be able to have these money conversations with someone else. So if you haven't shared it yet, I would invite you to share it with, you know, your best friend or a significant other or whoever, because I think that makes life a lot fuller. The quote that comes to mind for me, or a way that I like to live life, is that who I am is a network of conversations. I'm made up by the people in my life. And so, you know, this is all really, really powerful, effective, insightful stuff for me, and I just want to be able to share it with the people I care about.
It's awesome.
So, that's what I would say.
So yeah, keep tuning in. Obviously, these are our short form daily podcasts, thoughts that we have for you. Every 8 episodes or so, we do a check-in. And this was our chance to check in with you, our listener, our viewer, if you're on YouTube with us, to see what's resonating for you. So please do send us a note. It's questions@thebigpicture.com. masteryofmoney.com, or you can comment on YouTube in the space below. Shout out to my good friends at the University of San Francisco for this dope ass mug.
Is that Dons? The Dons? USF Dons?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Where I spoke some time ago, but it was an awesome event. There were like 500 students at the auditorium at USF.
Oh, that's great.
And I love San Francisco, so to USF.
I like San
Here's to you.
Francisco, too.
Do you want to cheers the good folks at Dunkin'?
Cheers to Dunkin' Donuts. Helen, really appreciate your service every day. I told her this is my mom's name too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Helen's getting a shout out. My mom is also getting a shout out. Hey mom, I love you. Dad got a shout out.
Dad got a
Jimmy
shout
got a
out.
shout out.
My wife got a shout out.
shout out.
This
Shout
might
out
be a shout out
to
show.
you as the Explorers.
Until tomorrow, where we are going to talk about having definiteness of purpose around acquiring wealth.
Super important.
It's going to be a fun show.
Yep.
I
See
may
ya.
even have the same mug. See you then.